ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौरांगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जयो श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. I welcome all the devotees for today's Bhakti Shastri class. Continuing to chapter number 14. In this 14th chapter, there are totally 27 shloka. Every chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it begins with the connection to the previous chapter. Whatever given in the previous chapter, it will be continued in the next coming chapter. Now, if you are seeing the 14th chapter, what is the name? It is Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga, that is 3 modes of material nature. Now, in the 13th chapter, text number 22, it is explained, Purusha Prakritisto hi bhunkte Prakritijan gunan karanam gunasangosya sadasad yoni janmasu. It is explaining about how the living entity takes birth in different species of life based on the 3 modes that the living entity has developed. By knowing the 3 modes, how it is affecting the living entity and what are the symptoms of the whatever the effect comes, and how to transcend the 3 modes. Knowing all these things is the 14th chapter. This 14th chapter is like the key for escaping the material cage. Whatever the things that is there as a bondage for the living entity to be present within this material world is the 3 modes. Now, if we know how to transcend these 3 modes, then we can go beyond the 3 modes, that is the Shuddha Sattva, which will liberate us to the spiritual world. It's like a prisoner who is present within the prison house, and somebody is going to help him by giving the key of the prison house. Now you can just use this key and escape. So that is the process here Krishna is doing, and it is not illegal to escape from this cage. Now Krishna himself is telling how we are bound here and how to escape from this bondage. There are especially 3 parts in this chapter. The first 4 shloka, it is talking about how Krishna is the seed-giving father. Then next, how the living entities are conditioned and what are the characteristics of conditioning, and the action and death in the 3 modes. When you are under any kind of mode, it may be goodness, passion, or ignorance, how we will act, that is the action, and what will be the result of death in a particular mode. Those things are explained in this second section. Then finally, Krishna is describing how we can transcend these three modes of material nature. The first shloka, here Krishna is speaking in the 14th chapter. Param bhuya pravakshyami jnananam jnanamuttamam yajñatva munaya sarve param siddhimito gata. All of you please open the Bhagavad Gita that you have with you. Chapter 14, shloka number 1. What Krishna says here, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, again I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained supreme perfection. Krishna is glorifying the knowledge which he is going to describe now, because this is not an ordinary knowledge. This knowledge by knowing which a person can perfect his life. He can escape from this material existence. That is the ultimate goal of every living entity, which can be attained only by taking shelter of Krishna. That is by transcending the three modes of material nature. Now, what are the results of this knowledge? That is also explained. Idam jnanam upashritya mama sadharmyam agata sargepi nopajayante pralayena vyatanti cha. By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. So there is no more birth and death once a person transcends the three modes of material nature, because this is the one which is creating the bondage for every living entity. In the 14th chapter, first shloka, Prabhupada says in the purport, it has also been explained that it is due to association with the modes of nature that the living entity is entangled in this material world. Now, in this chapter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead explains what those modes of nature are, how they act, how they bind, and how they give liberation. So, this is the subject matter of this 14th chapter. Now, how the three modes are acting. Krishna continues in the third shloka, what he says here. This is all about conditioning the soul from first shloka up to the shloka number 13. Krishna is explaining about how the three modes are conditioning the living entity. Mama yonir mahad brahma tasmin garbham dadhamyaham sambhava sarva bhutanam tato bhavati bharata. It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving father. Here the word Mahad Brahma is used. Mahad Brahma, again, it is referring to Mahatattva. Mahatattva is the ingredient for the creation. And the creation cannot happen without the involvement of Lord Krishna. So when Krishna glances over this Mahatattva, it will take the form, or it will the creation begins. Sa aikshataha. Just by the glance of his eyes, he can do all the creations. All the living entities will be impregnated into the material nature or material energy. Hence, the birth of living entities happens. It takes place. And what is the governing principle here? That is the modes under which the living entities are present. Different living entity will be developing different kinds of modes. Based on that, they will get so many kinds of body. That is particularly for a particular activity. Sarva yonishu kaunteya murtaya sambhavantiya tasam brahma mahadyonir aham bija pradapita. Material nature consists of three modes. That is goodness, passion, and ignorance. These are the three modes that are present. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O might armed Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these three modes. Now there are three modes that we have seen: sattva, rajas, and tamas. The goodness, passion, and ignorance. Now there is a competition between these three modes within our system itself. So how the competition takes place, that is explained in the text number 5. Sattvam rajastama guna prakriti sambhava nibadnanti mahabaho dehe dehinam avyayam. The fifth shloka says, material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these three modes. As we have seen earlier, the activity that we perform, it is decided by the mode that we have developed. At a particular point of time, what kind of mode that a person has developed, accordingly, his activity will be there. If he has developed a goodness, if he is in the mode of goodness, then activity that he performs will be in goodness. If he is in passion, then the activity will be passion. If the mode is ignorance, then the result of his activity will be ignorance, or his activity will lead to the ignorance. Nibadnanti, that is, it will bind. Having said this, Krishna is explaining here, that is the first 4 shloka, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 5 shloka, how these three modes are conditioning the living entity, that will be explained. And after that, 11 to 13, Krishna is explaining what are the characteristics and symptoms of these three material nature. Then the destination at death, if a person dies in the bond of passion, ignorance, or goodness, what kind of destination? They are not going to the same destination. The destination will be different. And finally, what are the actions that is performed under these three modes? Now, when we know that the three modes are deciding our activity and we are not independent to perform any activity, now it becomes our responsibility to choose what mode we should come under. We have the freedom to develop the mode. We can change the mode. That is not possible immediately, but gradually we can change the mode in which we are present. A person can advance from ignorance to the passion, and passion to goodness, and goodness he can transcend all the three modes and come to the Shuddha Sattva, or the pure goodness. That is possible. And it is our responsibility to at least come to the mode of goodness for performing a steady bhakti, devotional service to the Lord. How is it possible? The three modes, Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, Tamaguna, they are present in each and every living entity. Nobody is free from this. A person who is having goodness, he also has passion and ignorance within him. But it is not so visible because goodness is more prominent. Similarly, a person who is very passionate, he is in the mode of passion, he also has the mode of goodness as well as ignorance. But in his system, at the present moment, the passion is more visible. Similarly, the ignorance. So nobody is free from any of these three. All the three modes are there in every living entity. But at a particular time, at a particular situation, a particular mode will come out. Now, what is the solution? How to come out of this problem? That means we are offering ourselves in the hands of modes. Now, whatever we feed, that particular mode will grow. If you are feeding the Sattva Guna, then you will develop more Sattva Guna, more goodness, the mode of goodness. And if you are feeding the rajoguna, then mode of rajoguna or passion will develop. And if you are feeding the tamoguna, then tamoguna will develop. What do you mean by feeding? Feeding means you are giving the opportunity to grow. That means whatever lifestyle you make, what kind of food that we eat, what kind of association, friends we have, what kind of environment that we live, what kind of place that we are working, and what kind of environment that we maintain at home, how we are leading our life, how do we spend our time, what we eat. All this will decide what kind of mode we will get into. And once we get into this mode, it is not so easy to stop, because these modes will take over. One simple example you can see, when a person is angry, how he behaves, it will be completely different than when he is normal condition. If you are speaking to him with very calm and patiently, then he will react in one way. But when he is in very angry mode, then he will react in another way. Why? Because he is at that particular moment, he is in the angry mood. That passion is dominating over other modes. So he will be under that particular mode. Now, if you are able to control this, that means if you are able to keep yourself in the mode of goodness all the time, and gradually if you are able to transcend these modes, then your life will be successful. Otherwise, if we simply live without making any effort for developing the mode, then what happens? By default, we are demonic. Every person, by default, that means if you are not working on your mode, or if you are not making any effort knowingly to bring to the goodness, then gradually the mode will go to the ignorance only. It's like a fertile land. Our life is like a fertile land. And in this land, if you are not doing the cultivation, then what happens? Automatically the weeds will grow. There is no doubt about it. The weeds will gradually grow and they will fill the entire field. Then again, you have to destroy it. And it is again some extra effort that you have to make. Similarly, when you are not very serious about spiritual life, waking up early in the morning, chanting the prescribed number of rounds, and following the 4 regulatory principles, following Ekadashi, if you are not very serious about it, then what happens? These weeds will grow. And weeds, what they do? They will hide the actual crop. That is, we are cultivating the Bhakti Lata, but all the ingredients that we have, it will be consumed by the weeds only, so that our Bhakti will diminish. Now, it is our duty to see that we come at least to the mode of goodness. Anybody would like to read can raise their hand. All have kept their videos off, at least those who are. I request you to switch on your camera so that I am not talking to some wall here. Yeah, Sumalata Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat pranams, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
If therefore the mode of passion, instead of being degraded into the mode of ignorance, is elevated to the mode of goodness by the prescribed method of living and acting, then one can be saved from the degradation of wrath by spiritual attachment. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So like this, it is our responsibility to see that at least we come to the mode of goodness, without which it is not possible to advance in our spiritual life. That is about text number 5. Okay, next text number 6th one. So here from 5 to 9, it is Krishna is explaining how the material modes are binding the living entity. Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakasham prakashakam anamayam sukha sangena badhanti jnana sangena chanaga. Now these are the characteristics that are found in the mode which can bind the living entity. So what are they? First one, Krishna starts with the goodness. Goodness is also binding. Not only passion and ignorance, goodness is also binding. So how it will bind? Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakashamanamayam sukha and jnana. Sukha sangena jnana sangena. Sukha sangena badnati jnana sangena chanaga. The happiness and the knowledge that a person gains in a mode of goodness can bind him. What is binding? Binding means the person is not willing to go further. He is trying to stop there. This is especially if you see a pious Brahmana family, if you are introducing Krishna consciousness, they will not take it so seriously, because I know I am already born in Brahmana family and I know what is Bhagavad Gita. I learned it. So this is enough for me. So they are feeling that I am full. This is enough. I am happy and I have the knowledge. I have everything in my life. That it will not take them beyond the material existence, and they just be here happily. So that is binding. Sukha, I am happy. And jnana, I know everything. That is, it is better than Rajoguna and Tamoguna, because this is the best platform for practicing Krishna consciousness. Unless a person come to the mode of goodness, it is not possible. There is lot of opportunity for advancing or transcending the three modes of material nature when a person is in the goodness. Because in goodness, he has peaceful mind and no anxiety, and his brain is very fertile. He can think about the Lord and he can understand the Shastra very clearly. So there is lot of chance. But if he doesn't take that opportunity, then again it will degrade back to the other modes. How it is degraded? When a person becomes very happy, he may become lazy. Then that laziness can degrade him to the mode of ignorance. And when a person becomes very knowledgeable, then pride may arise. And because of that pride, he may degrade himself to the mode of passion. So like this, from the mode of goodness, a person can degrade himself to passion and ignorance. If he is not making an attempt to raise higher, then gradually it will be degraded to the lower modes of material nature. Next, 7th shloka says about how the mode Rajoguna is binding a person. Rajo ragatmakam viddhi trishna sanga samudbhavam. Tanni badnati kaunteya karma sangena dehinam. The mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings. A person who is in the mode of passion, he has desire, unlimited desire, which cannot be fulfilled in one lifetime, and so much of longing. And because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive actions. Whatever the passionate person does, he has some expectation. He is attached to the result of his activity. He wants to enjoy the result of his activity. That is the condition of a person who is in the mode of passion. Then how the tamoguna is binding? Tamastu ajnanajam viddhi mohanam sarvadehinam pramadalasya nidrabhi tannibadhnati bharata. So tamas, or the passion, ignorance, it will have, what are the effects? The one of ignorance, delusion, all embodied living entities. The living entities will be in the deluded. It is madness or indolence and sleep which bind the conditioned soul. Here, Prabhupada is telling madness. Why madness? Ignorance is considered as madness. Madness because the person is paying for the suffering in the mode of ignorance. What is paying for suffering? Generally, when we are making any effort, we don't make effort for suffering. We only make effort for enjoyment. If I'm working very hard, it means that I'm getting some benefit, I'm getting some profit so that I can become happy. But in the case of ignorance, for example, a person gets addicted to alcohol. Now, if he has to drink alcohol, he has to earn money. And with that money, he will buy the alcohol and he will drink it. Now, by drinking that alcohol, his health gets upset. He will get a lot of diseases. And because of that disease, he is taking so much of pain in his body. That means he has paid for the pain. That means that is madness. Because nobody knowingly brings pain for himself. But a person who is in ignorance, he brings the pain for himself by his hard work. He is working hard to make himself unhappy. And then once he gets cured, that if he gets any disease, he will get cured. And again, he will go and drink it. That is again madness. Knowingly doing the mistake. That he has already got the disease and now he has somehow got cured. Again, he will go and do the same mistake. And after that, once the person dies, will he go to the heaven? No. Again, he will get punishment. Because according to the law, a person who has consumed alcohol, he has to drink the lava, that is molten metal, will be poured into his mouth. It's all given in the Srimad Bhagavatam 5th canto. There are 28 types of hell, and what are the different names of that hell, what is the punishment for which mistake, all this is described. So he is doing all the effort for going to hell and suffer. That's why it's called as madness. That is the character that is visible in the mode of ignorance. Why all these things are happening? Because of ignorance. Ignorance is the cause of all the problems. When a person comes to the light, then he can walk the right path. When there is darkness, we don't know what is right path, what is wrong. If we just walk blindly, then we'll fall down. That's why we need a guidance. We should know what is right, what is not by Guru Sadhu Shastra, understand properly, and then take the proper right decision. If you're trying to take the decision on ourselves, then you will making big mistake. Finally, Krishna summarizes here: Sattvam sukhe sanjayati, raja karmani bharata, jnanam avratyatu tamaha, pramade sanjayatyuta. O son of Bharata, mode of goodness conditions one to happiness, passion condition to fruitive action, and ignorance to the covering of knowledge binds one to the madness. That is the 9th shloka. Next, continuing, how to recognize. Okay, of course, I know now there are 3 modes, and these modes are binding everyone. Now, how to recognize? How can I recognize these 3 modes that are present in the system, in my system? How can I know whether I am in goodness or in passion or in ignorance? The shloka number 10 says, Rajastamaschabhibhuya sattvam bhavati bharata, rajasattvam tamaschaiva tamasattvam rajastata. So there is always a competition. Sometimes mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating the mode of passion, and sometimes mode of passion defeats the goodness and ignorance, and sometimes ignorance defeats the mode of passion and goodness. So all the 3 modes, there is a continuous competition. Now, let us see what are the symptoms that are present in the 3 modes. When the Sattva Guna is prominent, that is, when there is competition. Now, how to win the competition? Who should win the competition? That is in your hand. The example is given. You have 3 dogs in your house. Whichever dog you feed, that will bark loudly. Similarly, you have three modes within your system. Whichever mode you feed, that mode will take over your system. Now, if you want to be under the mode of goodness, then you have to take to the activities that will strengthen the goodness, the mode of goodness. Now, how do you know that you are in the mode of goodness? That is in the 11th shloka. What does it say? Sarvadvareshu dehesmin prakasha upajayate jnanam yada tada vidyat vivruddham sattvamithyuta. The manifestation of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge. There are 9 gates in the body. Navadvara Puredehi. 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, the mouth, the genitals, and the anus. All the 9 gates of the body are illuminated. That means whatever we see, that vision will be in goodness. I'll see only the good things. I don't want to see anything bad. Whatever I hear, it is all about the goodness. Everything that is related to the goodness. I don't want to hear any pop music or cinema music. I don't want to spoil my time in that. I'm only hearing to the kirtans and classes and Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. That is coming to the mode of goodness. I don't hear any sound vibration that is connected to the mode of passion or mode of ignorance, which will take me to those lower modes. Then my ears are illuminated. My nostrils are used for taking the fragrance that is offered to the Lord, the flower that is offered to the Lord. Then that is illuminated. I eat only Krishna Prasadam. I will not eat anything that is contaminating my mode, which will degrade. Then my mouth is also purified or illuminated. Like that, all the bodies, whatever activity that we perform, it is all related to the mode of goodness. Then we can say that prakasha upajayate. All the navadvara, sarvadvara, every body, all the gates of the body, they are illuminated by the knowledge. You are doing what you are doing, and you know what will be the consequences. You are ready to take up that responsibility. Then you are in the mode of goodness. Next, what are the symptoms of a rajoguna? How do you know that if you are in the mode of passion? Lobha pravrittirarambha karmana ashamaspruha rajasetani jayante vivruddhe bharatarshabha. O chief of the Bharatas, when there is an increase in the mode of passion, the symptom of great attachment, fruitive activity, intense endeavor, and uncontrollable desire and hankering develop. This is what we can see in the society at the present moment. And this is what the modern education system is also aiming for. You have to work hard, you have to earn more, you have to be happy, you have to become successful, but they don't know what will happen after that. They don't know, they don't have the higher purpose. They just want to make the people more and more passionate so that those people will work for the society or work for the higher authority. So make them more and more rajoguna. So most of the motivational speeches will be like that. Work hard, enjoy. Make more money, enjoy the sense gratification. If you are going in this direction, then you understand that you are in the mode of passion. So passion is more prominent within your system. That is the mode of passion. Next comes the mode of ignorance. How do I know that if I'm in the mode of ignorance? That is explained in the text number 13. Aprakasho pravrittischa pramado moha evacha tamasetani jayante vivruddhe kuru nandana. When there is an increase in the mode of ignorance, O son of Kuru, darkness, inertia, madness, and illusion are manifested. In the mode of ignorance, the person takes the good things to be bad and bad things to be good. He doesn't know what is correct, what is wrong. if somebody gives him some good advice, he will take it for wrong things. Means he will not accept it. He will argue. He will not take it for his good. But if somebody gives him bad advice, then he will think that, oh, this person is helping me. If somebody helps him to take some addictions, either alcohol or smoking or drugs, if somebody somebody helps him, then he will become very happy. Oh, you are my well-wisher. They'll take good things for bad and bad things for good. That is called madness, or that is the ignorance. And inertia, they are always lazy. They are not ready to take up any work or activity. Now, the main difference here is, when a person is in the mode of goodness, he will think before activity and then he will act. But in the mode of passion, the person will act first. Then after that, when he sees the result, he will try to analyze, oh, what has happened? Now let me correct this. There is a mistake. And when he is in ignorance, he will just act without seeing what is going to happen. Whatever comes to his mind, he will just act. So that is in the mode of ignorance. So these are the three symptoms of goodness, passion, and ignorance. If the person gives up his life in that mode, because death may come at any time, any point, a person can die. And at that particular moment, we don't know what mode we may have. We may be in the mode of goodness or passion or ignorance. So Krishna is describing here, at the time of death, if you have this kind of mode, then what will be your destination? Yada sattve pravriddhetu pralayam yati dehabrit tadotamavidam lokan amalan pratipadyate. If a person gives up his body when he is in a mode of goodness, then he attains to the higher planetary systems. That is, to the planets of great sages. Higher planet means it may be heaven or above heaven. Above heaven also there are many planets. The Janaloka, Tapoloka, Maharloka, all those planets are there. And finally it is Satyaloka, Brahmaloka. So any of these planets a person can go, depending on the goodness, how much intensely he has developed the mode of goodness. So it is always good to be in the mode of goodness all the time, so that at least something is guaranteed, that you will go to the higher planetary system. Next, if you are giving up the body in the Raja or Tama, Rajasi pralayam gatva karma sangishu jayate tata pralayastamasi mudha yonishu jayate. When one is dying in the mode of passion, he takes birth among those engaged in fruitive activities. That is, he will take birth among this, in this material world. He will come back here itself. That is Rajoguna. And Tamoguna means he will take birth among the animal kingdom. That means in one sentence we can say goodness takes to the demigods. You may take birth among demigods, and passion will keep you in the mode of, in the human form, and the ignorance, it will take you to the kingdom of animals. So this is the long-term effect of any mode, that is goodness, passion, or ignorance. But the immediate effect, what are the immediate effects that are visible in these three modes, that are explained in the next coming shloka. If you are acting in the mode of goodness, karmana sukritasyahu satvikam nirmalam phalam, rajasastu phalam dukkham, ajnanam tamasa phalam. Oh, they all are interlinked. If your activity is in this particular mode, that is, if you are acting in the mode of goodness, the pious activity, the result of pious action is pure and is said to be the mode of goodness. If you are acting in the mode of goodness, you will get punya. That is the pious credit you will get. And by pious credit, you can go to the higher planetary system. So again, this is strengthening the previous statement. So here action is told. By activity, you will develop punya and it will help you to go to the higher planetary system. Action done in the mode of passion, it will result in the misery. And action performed in the mode of ignorance results in the foolishness. So these are the immediate effects of the three modes. After death, what happens? That is the long-term effect. And this here you can see the immediate effect of the three modes of material nature. Sattvat sanjayate jnanam rajaso lobha evacha pramada moho tamaso bhavato ajnanam evacha. Mode of goodness. From the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. This is again a binding factor, knowledge and happiness, and that is developed by practicing goodness, mode of goodness. And from the passion, greed develops. Again, that is the binding factor. Previously, we have seen the intense greed for result of activity. And that is developed by the activity which is in the mode of passion. And finally, the ignorance. It will develop foolishness, madness, and illusion. So the activity develops the effect, and the effect will bind the person, and that binding will decide our next life. That is how the three modes are acting. And this is the key that Krishna is giving to us. This is the key which you can use for escaping the material bondage. Now, what is our duty? Understanding all these things, we should learn how I can come out of these three modes. By observing ourselves, check your own lifestyle or daily routine. What are the different activities that you are performing? You can do this. And in the 18th chapter, this activity is there. You might have already done it. There are different activities that we do every day. Just list it according to the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance, and can give marks accordingly. If you're getting good marks for goodness, then you are in the mode of goodness. If you are getting more marks for Rajoguna, then you are in the mode of Rajoguna. If you are getting more marks for Tamoguna, then you have to work on it to bring back to the mode of goodness. And what is the result? Gradually, the person can come out of the three modes and he can go back to Godhead. That is the ultimate goal of our human form of life. Now, next continuing, Sri Krishna says that it is not the Lord or the living entity who performs the activity, but it is the mode, the three guna that is acting. It is not anybody else. Okay, before that, Krishna again here summarizes. Urdhvam gacchanti sattvasta madhye tishtanti rajasa jaganya guna vrittista ado gacchanti tamasa. Those are situated in a mode of goodness, gradually go upwards to the higher planets. Those in the passion, living in the earthly planets, and those who are in the ignorance, they'll go to the hellish planet. This is one statement he has given together as a summary of previous explanation. Now, who is the doer? Krishna is telling, Nanyam gunebhya kartaram yada drishtanu pashyati gunebhyascha param veti madbhavam sodigachati. When one properly sees that in all activities, no other performer is at work than these three modes of nature, and he knows the Supreme Lord who is transcendental to all these modes, he attains my spiritual nature. What Krishna is telling here, the person who sees that the actual activity is done by the modes only, he is the actual seer. He's seeing the things as it is. And one who has attained this, one who has understood this point, he will go back to Godhead. That is attaining the spiritual nature. So now we have to understand the three modes are only acting, not the Jiva, neither the Lord. Why Lord is not the doer? Because he is beyond the three modes. And why the living entity is not the doer? Because he has no capacity to do. He has no capacity to perform activity. All the capacity, all the energy is present within the material energy. This body itself belongs to material energy. This body can be moved only by the material energy. This body is a machine. And the energy for moving this body is generated within this machine. And that energy doesn't belong to the living entity. It belongs to the body itself. And whatever food we eat, it is also made of 5 elements. This body is also made of 5 elements. The 5 element is consuming the 5 elements and producing the energy and moving the body. It is like you use the petrol for putting into the vehicle, and vehicle has the engine, and engine is driving the vehicle. What is the function of driver? Just give direction. That's all. Only giving the direction. Don't think that you are carrying the vehicle. You don't have the energy to carry the vehicle. You cannot lift the vehicle. You can sit in the driver's seat and you can only move the steering. That's all the living entity is doing. He's only desiring. Okay, let me go left, go right, go straight, go with this speed, go slow down. You can control, but you cannot be the doer, or you're not the actual doer. If the engine stops, you can't do anything. The actual energy, the real energy that is coming from the body itself. Body means the material energy, the material modes itself. The material energy, Prakriti itself is doing everything. But Prakriti is not independent. It is under the control of Krishna. The Paramatma who is within the heart. It has two functions, Anumanta and Upadrishta. He has to permit the activity. When the living entity desires, the Atma, when he desires, the Paramatma, he will sanction. And only by the sanction of the Lord, he will be able to perform any activity. And the Paramatma, he will give the direction to the material world, material energy, so that the activity will be performed. That's how everything will be going on. That is what Krishna is explaining here in the 19th sloka. We should understand modes are doing everything. Now, what is the result of this knowledge? When we know modes are doing everything, then if you want to do something, what you need, then you have to choose that particular mode which will help you to do that activity. You cannot do it otherwise. It is like a student who wants to score very good marks in the exam, then he has to have a routine which will help him to score well. He cannot simply waste his time day and night and expect to score very good marks in the exam. That is not possible. Similarly, if you are expecting yourself to be having the activities done by you in the mode of goodness, then you have to develop the mode of goodness. You cannot just be in the mode of passion and ignorance and expect all the results to become in the mode of goodness. That is not possible. And in one stretch, you cannot change your mode. It takes a lot of time to change the mode. So gradually it can be changed. Whatever japa we are doing and whatever activity we are performing, how we deal with others, all these things are involved with the modes that are governing us. So we should be very careful about this. We should analyze ourselves. What am I doing? The japa itself, we have 10 offenses towards the japa. If you observe these 10 offenses, none of these offenses can be performed during japa. It is all performed, or it may be performed when we are not doing japa. That is, when we are doing all other activities. The first offense is to blaspheme the devotees. We don't blaspheme the devotees during our japa. We are busy with finishing our 16 rounds itself. That means these offenses are happening not during japa. It is often happening throughout our day. And in one particular day, how you are going to spend your time, the next day morning japa will be affected by that. If you are performing any of these offenses during your daytime, then the next day morning japa, it will be having that particular quality. If you are spending your complete day in a very good environment with peace and peaceful mind, in a goodness, in a mode of goodness, or better is the mode of Shuddha Sattva, pure goodness, then your japa will be very good. But if your whole day you have spent in Rajoguna or Tamoguna environment, the next day definitely your japa will be affected. And this japa should be done attentively, without offense, if you want to advance in spiritual life. So these three modes are affecting our japa also. And it will, in long term, it will make our habits. And we cannot change it at a time. And whatever lifestyle we lead, according to the lifestyle only, we get the thoughts at the time of death. And these thoughts will carry the next life for us. And based on that, we get a body in the next life. So these controlling the three modes is also important for getting a better life in the next lifetime. It is affecting everything. Next, if you transcend the three modes, what will happen? Then Krishna is now giving the result of transcending three modes. Gunanetanatityatrain dehe deha samudbhavan janma mrityu jara dukkhair vimukto amritamashnute. If you are able to control or take charge over your modes, then what is the benefit you get? It's a very wonderful benefit Krishna is telling. When the embodied being is able to transcend these three modes associated with the material body, he can become free from birth, death, old age, and their distresses, and can enjoy nectar even in this life itself. Whether you are in this earthly body, human form of body, within this body itself, we can enjoy the nectar, that is Amritamashnute. How? By transcending the three modes of material nature. Now, at this point of time, Arjuna is asking question on behalf of all of us, just like he has asked in the second chapter. The Stita Prajnasya ka bhasha samadhistasya keshava stitadi kim prabhasheta kim asita vrajeta kim. What is the symptom of a Stita Prajna? How does he walk? How does he sit? Similarly, he is asking again here because Krishna has explained something very unique knowledge. Now Arjuna wants to expand it more. So he is asking for some example. Can you explain some of the symptoms? What are the symptoms? The three questions Arjuna is asking Krishna. What are the three questions? Arjuna uvacha kairlingair trin gunat netan atito bhavati prabho kimachara katham chaitan trin gunan ativartate. Arjuna inquired, O my dear Krishna, Lord, by which symptoms one is known who is transcendental to these three modes? What is his behavior and how does he transcend the three modes of nature? So three questions are there for Krishna here. One is a symptom of the person who has transcended, and what is his behavior, and third one is how he is able to transcend these three modes. Krishna is explaining the answer, and with this he will conclude this chapter, answering these three questions. The first question is answered in the next shloka itself. Shri Bhagavan uvacha prakasham cha pravrittim cha mohameva cha pandava na dveshti sampravrittani na nivrittani kankshati. So here 22, 23, 24, 25, all the four are clubbed together in the book because it is answering all the three questions. 23, 24, 25. These three shloka are for second question. That is Udasina vadasino gunairyo na vichalyate gunavartanta ityeva yovatishtati nengate samadukha sukha swasta samaloštashma kanchanaha tulya priya apriyo dhira tulya nindatma sanstutihi मानापमानोस्तुल्या तुल्यो मित्रारिपक्षयो सर्वारंभ परित्यागी गुणातीता स उच्यते. This is the answer for second question. Then answer for last question is मां चयो अव्यभिचारेण भक्ति योगेन सेवते सगुणान् समतीत्येतान् ब्रह्म भूयाय कल्पते. This is for the third question. That is, how does he can transcend the three modes? That is by Mamchayo avyabhicharena bhakti yogena. By performing bhakti, you can transcend the three modes. Okay, let us see the answer one by one. What Krishna is telling. First question answer. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said. Okay, anybody would like to read this purport can raise their hand. Not purport, sorry. Translation. Sumana Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O son of Pandu, he who does not hate illumination, attachment and delusion when they are present or long for them when they disappear, who is unwavering and undisturbed through all these reactions of the material qualities, remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing that the modes alone are active, who is situated in the self and regards alike happiness and distress, who looks upon a lump of earth, a stone and a piece of gold with an equal eye, who is equal toward the desirable and undesirable, who is steady, situated equally well in praise and blame, honor and dishonor, who treats alike both friend and enemy, and who has renounced all material activities. Such a person is said to have transcended the modes of nature. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So all the three questions of Arjuna are answered in this. Okay, two questions are answered. Third question is 26th one. So first two questions of Arjuna, that is symptoms, that is by which symptoms is known who transcend the three modes, and what is his behavior. Symptoms and behavior, almost it means the similar answer here. So Krishna is giving first 22nd shloka is about the symptoms of a gunatita. So what he say? Prakasham cha pravrittim cha mohameva cha pandava na dveshti sampravrittani nivrittani kankshati. He will not get attached or he will not hate. He who does not hate illumination or he doesn't get attached to the illumination or dissolution when they are present or long for them when they are disappearing, and who is unwavering and undisturbed through all these reactions of the material qualities, remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing that modes are alone acting. That is the symptom of a gunatita. He is learning to take whatever comes in his life as a mercy of the Lord. He will not hate it or he will not long for it. This is like tattenu kampa susamikshamano bhunjana evatmakam kritam vipakam. When there is distress, a devotee thinks that actually I should get more distress. It is only by the mercy of the Lord I am getting only this much. And when he is happy, when he is in a happy condition, he thinks that actually I am not eligible for this happiness, but because of the mercy of the Lord, I am getting something. So this is the mood of a devotee. This is the mood of this is a symptom of a person who has transcended the three modes. That is, no hatred, no longing. When there is happiness, he will not long for it. When there is no happiness, he will not long for it. Or when it is there, he will not reject it. He will accept it as a mercy of the Lord. And when there is, just like as Rupa Goswami says in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, whatever facility a devotee gets, he will use it in the service of the Lord. He will not reject it. Anasaktasya vishayan yataraham upayunjataha nirbandha krishna sambandhe yukta vairagya muchate. If you have a lot of money, use it in the service of the Lord. don't just reject it, saying that it is material. Prapanchikataya buddhya harisambandhi vastunaha mumukshubhi parityago vairagyam falgu katyate. If you are rejecting all the facility that you have in your life that Krishna has given you, even though you are capable of using it in the service of the Lord, then that kind of renunciation is called falgu. It's a false vairagya. And if you are using it in your sense gratification, then you are binding yourself. So how it should be used? Anasaktasya vishayan. There should not be any motivation for personal gain. Yatarham upayunjataha. In whatever way you can use it, you should use it for the service of the Lord. Then it is yukta vairagya muchyate. That is the real renunciation. Then Krishna explains about behavior of this person, how the person will behave in this mode. That is also explained in 3 shloka, 23, 24 and 25. He is udasina, or undisturbed by the reactions of modes, and knowing that modes are only acting, he can understand it, and equal to happiness and distress, samadukha sukha, and firmly situated in the self, swastaha, or he is happy within. That is Stita Prajna. And also Krishna gives the example, a lump of earth, stone, gold as the same. He says, Sama Loshtashma Kanchanaha. Scientifically, if you see the stone or mud or gold, everything is coming from earth only. It is the same ingredients. But only thing is we'll separate them and we get the gold and we will separate the earth from that, and then we get so much of attachment for that. But when a person who is in knowledge, he knows that this is all same. He will take all of them to be same. It doesn't mean that he will reject everything. He will use it in the service of the Lord, but for himself, he will know that this is all temporary. Whatever facility is there, it is there here today because of Krishna's mercy, and it has to be used in his service, and it should not be used for sense gratification. And equal to the dear and not dear, tulya, priya, apriya. He doesn't have anybody who is very dear to him, or he doesn't have any enemies. For everyone, he will treat like the children of God, and he loves the entire humanity. There is no difference. He will not do any partiality. And dhira, he is always steady in his practice. And equals towards praise or blame, blasphemy. If somebody praises him, he is very much aware that this praise is not actually for me. It is for Krishna. Because unless Krishna sanctions it, they cannot praise me. And whatever good qualities that they are seeing in me, it is because of Krishna. And if they are blaspheming or blaming me, it is not actually me I have done. It is the karma that is coming for me, so that I am getting purified. So like that the person will think. So there is no hatred or attachment for any this blasphemy or praising. Equal to honor and dishonor. If he gets any honor, he will give to the Lord himself. And if there is any dishonor, he will not take it personally, but he will accept it as a purification. Just like when we are going for a book distribution, anything can happen. The person can accept the book or he can reject the book. If we accept it, then we'll feel very much happy because he has accepted Krishna's mercy. And if he rejects it, it is like a purification for us. We will learn to become more humble in front of others. So in both cases, we are going to win. There is no loss. Both cases, he can take it equally. And friend and enemy, there is no friend, there is no separate, there is no difference between friend and enemy for a devotee. He will take both of them together. That means he will not have any ill feeling for the person who has done anything wrong to him. He will pray for them also, and He will not make any discrimination. And all the material activities he will renounce. What does it mean? Whatever activity he will do, it is transcendental. It is for the pleasure of the Lord. Then all the activity that he does, it is transcendental. Then there is no material activity for the person who is in this platform. It is not so easy to imbibe all these qualities, but anyhow, we can try. Some of them we can try to imbibe, or we can at least appreciate these qualities of the devotees. Then finally, Krishna is describing the 26th shloka. He is answering the third question of Arjuna. One who engages in full devotional service. That is the answer for last. How to achieve this? How to transcend these three modes? The answer is very direct. Mamcho avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevete sagunan samatitaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who is engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcend the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Brahman realization is the beginning of spiritual realization. One who performs transcendental devotional service. Avyabhicharena. Vyabhicharena means there are so many things. Sometimes I worship Krishna and sometimes I am busy with other activities. But one who is a devotee, one who is transcending the three modes, he has to perform the activity steadily. There should be a proper study activity for our japa or chanting, the reading. It should be study. Daily we have to do properly in time. It's not that sometimes we do, sometimes we don't do that. If it is like that, then the result will not be good. So avyabhicharena bhakti. Then what happens? He will come to the Brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Here finally it is told that Brahman realization will be achieved. That is, when you are transcending the three modes, first you will come to the Brahman realization. That is the beginning of the realization, the realization of God realization. But it doesn't mean that you cannot go further, or it also doesn't mean that this is something lower, transcending three modes. Because in our discussions, we understood that Brahman realization is for beginners, Paramatma realization is medium, and Bhagavan realization is the highest. And we directly go for the Bhagavan realization by hearing the pastimes of the Lord and by rendering direct service to the Lord without going through the Brahman realization or Paramatma realization. Because Brahman realization, Paramatma, it is coming under Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga, and Bhagavan realization is direct Bhakti Yoga. Now, in the 27th shloka, Krishna is answering this point. So, even though if you say that you are coming to Brahman realization after transcending three modes, but don't worry, I am the source of this Brahman realization also. Brahmano hi pratishtaham amritasya avyayasya cha shashvatasya cha dharmasya sukai saikantikasya cha. And I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. So from this, we can get one more conclusion that Brahman realization is also included within the Bhagavan realization. When you have 1,000 rupees with you, 500 rupees or 100 or 200 rupees is already there within that. Similarly, when a person gets Bhagavan realization, the Brahman realization and Paramatma realization is already included within that. So in this way, a person who has avyabhicharena bhakti, he can transcend the three modes of material nature, which will take him to the Brahman realization. And Bhagavan, Krishna, is the root of this Brahman realization. And by transcending the three modes, it can give one-stop solution for our suffering. The birth, death, old age, and disease, repeated punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, all these cycles can be stopped. And even when you are within this material world, you can live happily if you are in the mode of goodness, or if you are transcended the mode of goodness. Just like how good your life will be if you are always in the mode of goodness. You will never get angry at anyone. You will see all the situations in a favorable manner, and there is nothing to lament in your life, and you know who is controlling everything, and you know where you are going after your death. It is complete knowledge. It is completely blissful. Your entire life is already known, where your destination is already fixed, and your path is also known. There is no anxiety in your life. So how nice the life will be. The person will be eternally happy, either he is in this life or life after death. That is called as amritam ashnute, whether a person when he transcends the three modes of material nature. So these are the benefits. So here Krishna has given the solution for all sufferings. That is the key to open the prison house. What is three mode? How they are binding? What are the symptoms when we get bound by these three modes? And how to escape these three modes, the influence of three modes. Okay, let us see what is there in the PPT once again. Tada rajastamo bhava kama lobhadayasche chetayetara vidyam stitam sattve prasidati. So this is the Bhagavatam shloka. Anybody would like to read can raise their hand. Shija Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
As soon as the irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of the nature's mode of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in the goodness and he becomes happy, extremely happy. I mean, I can't see that.
Yeah, completely happy. Thank you, Mataji.
Completely happy. Hare Krishna.
This is the 26th shloka. Mamchayo avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityetan brahma bhoyaya kalpate. So this we have already seen. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Anybody would like to read? Please raise your hand. Sharmila Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Quality of goodness will automatically be there. This Krishna consciousness movement is directly offering the spiritual platform which is above the mode of goodness. The quality of goodness will automatically be there. Any person who is in Krishna consciousness, his quality of goodness, namely, he does not indulge in illicit sex life, he does not smoke even or take tea or coffee even, he does not eat any forbidden food stuff, neither he takes part in unnecessary gambling. So good character is immediately there. Hare Krishna. Bhagavad Gita 2.40 to 45.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare
Gunashri Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Save humanity from the greatest danger. The present human civilization is, of course, grossly misled by the modes of passion and ignorance. It is very dangerous age, and all nations should take care to provide the easiest process, Krishna consciousness, to save the humanity from the greatest danger. Bhagavad Gita 14.16 purpose. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Anybody would like to read? Please raise your hand. Keep it raised. I need more volunteers. Penaja, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Education for developing the modes of goodness. Because people have no education in actual knowledge, they become irresponsible. To stop this irresponsibility, education for developing the mode of goodness of the people in general must be there.
Continue, Mataji. Okay. Madhuri Mataji.
Even if the majority of the people aren't happy and prosperous, if a certain percentage of the population develops Krishna consciousness in the mode of goodness, then there is the possibility for peace and prosperity all over the world. Bhagavad Gita 14.17. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So even though there is very less number of devotees also, even 1% also, it will make a lot of difference. Because always the people who gives the guidance, the Brahmana, they are less in number, but they will guide the mass. So even if 1% of the population, if it becomes Krishna conscious, then the entire face of the globe can change. But this 1% is not very small number; it's very big number itself. Because if there are lakhs of people, if you see in Mangalore, if we have 6 lakh people, then if you only remove 2 zeros from there, then you need 6,000 devotees. But we don't have 6,000 devotees in the city which has a population of 6 lakh. So there is a lot of scope for increasing the number of devotees. But even if you make it 1%, it will make a lot of difference. So coming to the conclusion, the objectives of this overview of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13 and 14, including last class and this class, and explain the entanglement of the living entity in the modes of nature with reference to the chapter 13, overview of conditioning the 3 modes one living entity, and discussed how to transcend the 3 modes with respect to Bhagavad Gita, and some personal applications, how we are personally influenced by the modes of passion and ignorance with respect to Bhagavad Gita, and all practical ways we can develop the mode of goodness, and statements from Prabhupada's purports to 14th chapter, which is reflecting his mission. His mission is make at least some percentage of people Krishna conscious, so that the entire humanity can be saved. Finally, by understanding this knowledge, various great sages attained perfection and transferred to the spiritual world. The Lord now explains the same knowledge in a better way. This knowledge is far, far superior to all other process of knowledge, thus explained, and knowing this, man attained perfection. Thus, it is expected that one who understands this 14th chapter will attain perfection. So with this, we have come to the conclusion of today's session. If anybody has any question, they can raise their hand. Sija Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, you was talking about that 3 modes, and you said that, like, see, if you are into one mode, the other 2 modes are there, but that other 2 modes are in the very less in number. I mean, the quantity may be less in you.
Yeah.
So, see, if you talk about, I mean, my example itself, see, some days I'm in the mode of goodness, some days I may be in the mode of passion. So, you said that, see, how you can totally say that this person is of that nature, because no, every day we may not be in the same mode. So can you just explain on that?
If you
I
say
hope my question is clear.
Yeah, if you say that you don't have other modes at all, then how they can arise within you? It is already there, but it is not visible. It is given in the shloka itself. There is a competition between these 3 modes. Sometimes one mode will defeat the other 2, and it will take over. And whenever there is a environment, when there is a fertile ground, all the weeds will come out. Just like during the summer, all the grass, it will get dried. It will not be visible, as if it is no more. When as soon as the rain comes, it all comes up. Everything becomes greenery once again. Who is going to put the seed? It is nobody, but still it comes up because the root is already there. Similarly, within our heart, there is a tendency for sense gratification, but it will not be visible. Just like for small children, they look very simple, very innocent, but as they grow up, we can see the tendency. They will have different types of enjoying mentality. Everyone will not be same. That is because when they grow up, when the body becomes ready, then such kind of symptoms will be visible. And it is also true for day-to-day life that we do. When a particular situation comes, that mode will come out. It is also said, if you are being with a person for more than 3 days, your mode will come out. In the first meeting or second 1 or 2 days, we may behave very well. We may not show all our modes. But if you stay with that person for more than 3 days, then your real nature will come out. Then we can actually make out whether I can stay with this person or I can deal with this person or not. So how is this possible? Because that mode was not visible in the very immediate meeting, in the first, or when we try to hide it, or it may not be manifested. But later on, when the time comes or when the situation comes, the person suddenly becomes angry. Why? Because the situation was like that. And why you becoming angry? It is not that everyone become angry at that particular situation. It is because the mode that you have and that your experience, everything matters. So all the three modes are present all the time. Even the people who are in ignorant, sometimes they show some of the symptoms of goodness. Why? Because of this environment. They may go to some holy place, then suddenly they will be behaving like they will, as if they have given all the bad habits. But that is not true. When they come back, they will again be in their old habits. It is all influencing. And none of these modes are a quality of the soul. It is all overlapped. It is coming to the soul. The soul doesn't have these three modes. Just like the Lord also free from three modes, the soul originally he is also free from three modes. It is all because of coming to this material world, we have developed these three modes. They have contaminated us. Now we have to clean again. Hope this answers your question.
Yes, Prabhu. But see, the thing is that see, if you want to say that one particular person is in the mode of goodness, so he should have more of goodness. But the thing is, if for example, I'm a person who work in a college, so that no, see, it is like I try to maintain that, but at some point, no, like getting angerness, so that no, I am losing that mode of goodness, and or maybe something I want to achieve that, I want to achieve this, so I'm entering into the mode of passion. So you can't say that I'm always in the see. If you take it, see, Prabhu was telling that if you write it down, that you will understand that we are into which mode. So you can't. I mean, how exactly you can say that that particular person is that into? So altogether, if everybody is in all the three modes, is what you're mentioning, or can we say that a particular person cannot be in one particular mode always? Or is it because I have to practice more to be always in the mode of goodness? So many kind of a confusion is there. Because of again one doubt which comes to my mind is that you said that during the time of death, see which mode you are into it, based on that is what the next janma is. So if that is the case, see maybe throughout your life you will not be in the passion or ignorance, and almost at the time of death where you have to suffer for quite a long time. In that time you have following the mode of goodness. See, will that person will attain based on goodness or based on the other modes? So like that, so many kind of doubts coming. If I'm wrong in asking, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, that is, it is not like suddenly you can change at the time of death. It is said life is a preparation, death is examination. And in the examination, whatever preparation you have done, definitely it is going to help you. Don't think that suddenly something will happen and some accidentally person who is in ignorance, suddenly he comes to goodness and transcend. That will not happen. It may happen only if he has the blessings of a great saint who has completely given the blessings, then such a kind of thing can happen, like Ajamila. Even though he has done a lot of sin, but at the time of death, he thought about the Lord's name, and by the mercy of the Lord, actually he thought about his son only, but the Lord accepted it as good. But again, he did not go directly. He got a second chance, and then he practiced. Then he went back to Godhead. It will not happen like that, and it is by saying that we are ignoring the management of the Lord. You are just thinking that you are the controller, or there is arrangement by the Lord behind everything. If you have to think about the Lord at the time of death, then you must have done some preparation. Then only he will give that thinking. Otherwise, it is not possible. It will not happen by accident. And your question, in which mode, how percentage you can understand, it is yourself you have to analyze in what mode you are. Generally, in the morning, we will be in the mode of goodness. Afternoon, we will go to the passion. And in the night, person becomes to the ignorant state. It may not be always true, because devotees, they will practice devotional service in the morning and evening, both times. So for devotees, it may be in the morning goodness, evening goodness, and afternoon, maybe if you are working outside, you may be in the mode of passion. Like that, it can change. But at the same time, there is other modes also within your system which may not be manifested.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Sumalata Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, my doubt is that, Prabhuji, like the devotee, in which I'm very sorry, Prabhuji, I'm not. Actually, what determines our sattva guna, like, Prabhuji, like if I, for example, I take my chance, like I've started working now. So initially I thought that I will work for Krishna. But when I started working, slowly the remembrance of Krishna disappears. Like when we are working, we will forget that. Only when the difficulty comes or when a challenge comes, that time we remember Krishna. So initially, the purpose of going for a job was that I'll think of Krishna. Whatever amount I'll get, I'll just give it for Krishna consciousness or something like that, for a donation or something like that. But now I realize that it is purely, when you said in the class, like it is purely a mode. It is in the mode of passion. So I just want to be in the mode of goodness always. So how can I avoid that, Prabhuji? As you said that when we are in the mode of goodness, there are high chances that we may get we will be delivered to the higher planets, and not to the spiritual world also. So there is no guarantee like that. So how can we be saved, Prabhuji? Like, what determines, Prabhuji? Is it our actions or the thinking what we have in our mind? Like, we will be remembering about the Krishna, but our actions won't be like that in the sattva guna. So how can we practice, or what is the way, Prabhuji? Like, Hare Krishna, to be in the sattva guna always.
We should do activity even though if it is in Rajoguna, so that we can serve Krishna. Or we should give up the activity completely, so that I can be always in Sattva Guna. If this is the question, then we can take the example of Arjuna himself. Arjuna had to fight. He had to kill people. Killing people is like, your mode will be, okay, keep apart from the mode. Your emotions will be very anger. You cannot shoot the arrows at someone for killing them with very smiling face. The face will be, you should show so much of anger. But what Krishna is telling, you have to do this. Ma manusmara yudhyacha. Think of me and do the fight the war. Then if it is the order of the Krishna himself, then there is nothing wrong in doing it. And if your intention is to serve Krishna, then whatever activity you are doing, it becomes a devotional service. You don't have to consider it as a bondage, because it is liberating. At the time of Srila Prabhupada, there were many devotees who decided to give up all their jobs and join the movement. But so it was very early time. Then Prabhupada says, if you all are giving up your job and coming here, then I will go and work outside. And otherwise, how the movement will go? So if you are working, then only this movement can go on. So there are many devotees who were working outside, and they were supporting the movement, because of which the movement got a lot of support. So if you are working outside with an intention to serve Krishna, then there is nothing wrong. You are always under the protection of the Lord. And also you should take the guidance from the devotees and be in the association of devotees. Whenever you have off time, you should go to the temple, or if it is not possible, at least you should have online association of the devotees, so that you can remain in Krishna consciousness. And if you feel that you can do better service other than going to this outside working, then that is also fine. If you feel that I can be in goodness also, and I can give good service to the Lord also, then you can give up your job and you can serve in a better way, if you find like that is better, but not at the cost of giving up your service to Krishna and not making any benefit or advancement in your spiritual life. I think this answers your question. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Then.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Anybody else has any question?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I couldn't on the video because after you said no, some setting issues is there, so that is why
It's okay.
I couldn't on it. So sorry about that. Yeah,
That's okay.
it's not going against you.
It's okay. Yeah. Any other question?